Hi, welcome back, crafty friends. I'm here doing 4 cards for Technique Junkies using the new Santa Paws stamp that was released in October, which has a whole bunch of great new stamps. And you can use my discount code TJ10Tracy for 10% off your order. I'll have that listed in the description box below. Let's get started. Before we get started, let me introduce you to my sweet little friend Penny. Penny is a Cairn Terrier. That's Cairn Terrier. A dog that is found to have roots in Scotland. And when I saw this stamp set by Technique Junkies, I thought the dog in the card looked so much like Penny that I'm going to try to create at least one of my cards so that the dog looks like Penny. Isn't she sweet? Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to be using Arteza colored pencils as well as Gamsol to blend my pencils and Puffy Snow Pen for the fur trim on the dog's hat. For the sake of time, I am going to speed up the coloring part, and I'm using Arteza colored pencils. The color that I'm using right now is called Peaches and Cream. You probably are wondering why I would use such a orangish color. I'm also using Jasmine Yellow. These were the lightest colors in my colored pencils by Arteza, and so I went with it. I wasn't really sure how it was going to look, but in fact, it actually looks like her fur. Her fur to me is white with maybe some blonde coloring on her tummy, but she is a very light furred terrier, and I really wanted to at least make one of the cards that I'm creating to make it look like Penny. I do create 4 altogether, but basically because I was having so much fun and it's such a cute image, I thought these would make really nice Christmas cards, so I just went with it and made a batch of 4. I would say my skill with using colored pencils is not quite basic, but certainly not intermediate or advanced either, somewhere in between. I'm using Gamsol here and blending stumps. So Gamsol is a mineral spirit that is odorless that you can use on these paper blending stumps to blend colored pencils. It helps to erase the line that you often get when you use colored pencils. But what I was going to say about my coloring, I just picked 2 different colors of colored pencils and I just sort of randomly colored in different sections. The line art on this image is quite detailed, so it doesn't really require a whole lot of shading and 6 different colors of a colored pencil. Just basic, really all it takes, and that's what makes this card quick. So it's not a difficult or time-consuming coloring stamp. For the Santa hat, I used 3 different colors of red. So the first color I picked was, I think, carmine red. It was a little too pink. Then I went in with crimson red, which to me is the true red. And I added a little Gamsol on my blending stump and just filled in the area that was white. But not feeling very satisfied, I went in with rose red. So just experiment and use whatever you like, and you don't have to use as many colors of red as I did. Really, I could have gotten away with 2, which would have been crimson red and rose red. While I'm finishing up my coloring and while I grab my die to frame my image and die cut it out, I'll just let you know that Penny is the dog of my friend Karen, who is my massage therapist, and she's the friendliest little puppy. When you go to see her, first of all, she comes running at you, and then she lays down and she just lays down on her back and she just wants you to rub her belly. I mean, it never fails. This dog just loves to have her belly rubbed. So hopefully I will be doing Penny proud with this. So when you use your snow pen, you want to prime it onto an acrylic block. What I mean is it's like a paint pen. You have to pump it up and down to get the liquid to come out. And you have to be really careful, because if you try to apply it directly to your paper, you risk it exploding and the puffy paint just exploding out of the pen. This is a Marvy Puffy Paint Pen, marker, whatever you want to call it. And at this point, I am going directly onto the fur trim, because this particular snow marker, puffy pen, whatever you want to call it, it didn't have a lot of juice left in it. Even though it was brand new, it just didn't have a lot in it. It just seemed like it was empty very quickly. And I felt safe enough to be applying it directly to the paper. But please let me warn you, do not do this, especially when you first get your puffy marker, snow pen, whatever you want to call it, because you could easily ruin everything that you just colored. But see, when you apply heat, how it puffs up like snow. See that 3-dimension? It's really, really nice, and it's a must-have for your holiday cards. There's also another name. It's sold by Marvy, but there's also another name. It's called Puffy Velvet. So if you can't find it under Puffy Snow or Snow Marker, you might be able to find it under Puffy Velvet. And I will list in my description box below a link to one of the places where you can order it. I would suggest ordering 2, because if the one that was brand new is any indication, you run the chance of it running out of the liquid pretty quickly. The tube contains, it says 3 mm, so that's not a lot. And you shake it up, so you can hear me shaking this right now. This is the actual snow marker. I was calling it a paint marker or paint pen or snow pen. It's very similar to a paint marker, and that's how that works. So I created a couple cards a couple little panels that I colored in besides this one that I'm working with. And I was really excited to try the puffy snow. And I did the puffy snow and then thought, oh, I forgot to die cut the image, because I wanted to have it framed with this cute die cut from Gina Marie, but I completely forgot. You don't want to run it through your die cut after you do this step. You want to run it through your die cut before your die cut machine, before you apply the puffy snow. So just keep that in mind. By the way, I was using Hero Arts Intensified Black ink to stamp my images. I should have showed you that in the beginning, but I went straight to the coloring. So for the sake of making this a true process video, I'm actually showing you me using my Misty to stamp the image with Hero Arts Intensified Black ink. It's a great ink for red rubber stamps. You can also use Catherine Puller, Midnight ink, whatever your preference is. So now I'm going to color one of the dogs using my brown mark pencils. And the 2 colors that I'm using are burnt ochre and cocoa brown. And I do have to say that these colors really look well with this image. As far as the line art, I was able to use the darker color to basically color in the darker areas, and the lighter color to color in the lighter areas. And I think this one turned out really nice. I think the dimension is really great, thanks to the artist who designed this card, and the line art and the lines that create depth. Again, this could be any kind of terrier dog. I just thought of my friend's Karen Terrier and thought it looked a lot like her. And so sort of the, I guess, inspiration for me was the Karen Terrier, which they come in all colors, from light to dark. They even come in like a black color, a brown color. I spilled a little bit of Gamsel there. You want to be careful you don't do that. Even though it is odorless, it is a mineral spirit. This container that I'm using has a sponge on the top, and that keeps it from spilling. So if I should accidentally knock this bottle over, the entire contents wouldn't spill out. Because it's a mineral spirit, it's a solvent. And I mean, technically, I guess a solvent can dissolve paper. So you certainly wouldn't want this spilling on your project. But it's just enough, again, to melt those lines when you are using a colored pencil. And if you've ever colored with colored pencil, you know what I'm talking about. These paper blending stumps come with a file, and you can scrape the stump when you're done with it if you want to switch to a different color. However, I have about 6 little stumps of various sizes, which is more than enough for the colors of the rainbow. So depending on what project I'm using, you'll see I'm looking at the stumps to pick out the one that's, you know, brown, or pick out the one that's blue. Although with this project, I'm using red and brown. All right, so here we have the Puffy Velvet, which is the yellow tube, and I'm shaking that up. And this is where I made my mistake. I should have die cut these, but I was in such a hurry to play with the Puffy Velvet, I forgot. And this is a clear acrylic block. I took a paper towel to wipe off the crud. There was some dried, but look how fast that came out when I pumped it the first time. And that's what I'm talking about. You don't want that exploding all over your project. You really should just start with what I put on that block there. Grab a paintbrush, a clean paintbrush. I don't know why I felt like I had to lay so much down, because it dries pretty quickly. I would just lay a little bit down at a time if I were you. You have to experiment a little bit. Then when you take your heat tool, once it starts puffing up, pull that heat tool away. You don't want to hold it on there for a prolonged period of time, because then it will blister a little bit. You definitely just want to heat it and then stop. Once it puffs up, because your heat tool is so hot, you know, there's a pretty good chance it could burn that Puffy Velvet or snow marker. I'm just going to clean the dried up. See how quickly that dried up? I'm just going to clean that off with the baby wipe. And then boom, that's like half the pen just came out right now. Seriously, if you only have 3mm, it came out like in that first pump. And of course, I am trying to quickly heat this up so that it'll puff up and then go on to the next one, so that I don't lose so much of that product. But it does dry pretty quickly, and I am not moving this fast in real life. This is sped up 4 times the speed. It gives you an idea of how slow I am. But I find when I rush, I make really stupid mistakes. So I'd rather take my time and do it right, than rush and then have to start all over again, which I've done that before. You learn from your mistakes. So this is the first one that I did was the brown dog. The second one was sort of like the yellow dog. And this one is the other one that kind of reminds me of Penny with the blonde coloring. And when you first apply your puffy paint, if you feel like you missed spots, you can go back in there and patch it up with your paintbrush, which is what I'm doing right now. My final step was picking out pattern paper for the background of my cards. I chose all plaid paper, thinking of these dogs being sort of traditionally associated with Scotland. So you'll see me just trying to pick out some plaids. I got this plaid paper pack from Paper Rose Studios. I'm trying to think of where I ordered it from. But I remember I ordered it specifically because it had these beautiful plaids. I find at Christmas time, not enough paper kits come with plaids, and I don't know why they don't. They might have 1 or 2 pieces. They really should have more, as far as I'm concerned. All right, so here's my first card with Penny, on the front and a beautiful plaid pattern in the background. I used that die to cut a border along both my plaid paper and my image that I die cut. And Circles and Dots is the name of that die. It's from Gina Marie. For our brown dog, I selected a richer jewel tone plaid background, and I kind of positioned the image at an angle, and I used my decal trimmer to cut out that panel that I colored. The next one is more yellow, and I put a little on, if you look at the trim on the hat where the round part of it is, I put a little pom-pom on there. I thought that was cute. So if you don't have the snow marker, you can just use a little pom-pom at the edge of the hat. Looks really cute. And I like that plaid background. Again, I cut the image panel out with my decal trimmer. And finally, another little blonde dog, and I put the pom-pom on the round part of the fur trim. So it's got that on there, and I think that was really cute. Please give the video a thumbs up and leave a comment. Let me know what you think about my little Karen Terrier 4-pack of cards. If you are not a subscriber to my channel, I'd love it if you would subscribe. I do live videos as well as recorded videos and lots of giveaways. Thanks so much for watching. Have a hopeful day. Bye-bye.